Okay, the data mine is here. We have the refines officially for Choose Your Legends 4, as well as the remixes for Julia, Sothis, and the refine for Haar. So let's just dive right in. We ain't gonna beat around the bush here. We're looking at Mrs. Flame Emperor herself. Let's see what they gave her. Alright, so Accelerate Special Trigger. At the start of turn, if unit's HP is over 25%, unit can move one extra space and grants the following status to unit for one turn. Unit can move to a space adjacent to any ally in 2 spaces. At the start of combat, if unit's HP is over 25%, inflicts attack and defense -6 on the foe during combat. So the entire first section of her weapon is exactly the same. So what did they give her on the refine? If unit is within 3 spaces of an ally, grants a bonus to unit's attack, defense, and res during combat, equal to X times 2 plus 3, where X is the number of spaces moved by whoever initiated combat with a max of 3. Very interesting. So that means that it's the same as Selif's thing, where Selif gains a bunch more stats depending on how many spaces was moved by either himself or the enemy. Also inflicts attack and defense -6 on foe during combat. Recovers 7 HP to unit when unit deals damage to the foe during combat, even if no damage is dealt. And also, if X is greater than or equal to 1, inflicts special cooldown charge -1 on the foe per attack. Okay, so they didn't give her damage reduction on the first hit, which was what I was kind of worried they might have done. Because, of course, her B skill, Black Eagle Rule, gives her the fat damage reduction on the second attack onwards. So, had they given her damage reduction on the initial hit, I think that was gonna put her really over the top. But luckily, that's not what they did here. Instead, she's gaining a whole bunch of stats. She does another attack and defense -6. She has the omnipresent bonus HP after attacking the enemy. We've seen this on like 50 new skills in the past like couple of months. I don't know why they just keep on doing this, but it's a really strong effect. And also she inflicts guard now, so that's pretty interesting. Not as crazy as it could have been. She's definitely going to be good. She was already good prior to the refine, so now you give her a refine. Of course she's going to still be good and just even better than she was before. Let's go ahead and move on now. So we have Dimitri up next. Alright, so he got unit can counterattack regardless of foe's range. Grants special cooldown charge +1 per foe's attack during combat. Both of these effects are exactly the same. They didn't change anything. Okay, also, if unit is within 3 spaces of an ally, grants speed, defense, and res up 5 to unit during combat. Deals damage equal to 20% of unit's defense, reduces damage from foes' attacks by 20% of unit's defense, and inflicts defense -5 on the foe during combat, and neutralizes foes' bonuses to attack and defense. Oh, they actually did what I said they needed to do. So, I did a Theorycraft video with Zeshato where we were talking about possible things that they could give all these guys on their refines, and with this guy, they actually did what I said. They gave him the Asker bonus damage and bonus damage reduction effect. This is true damage and true damage reduction, so you cannot stop this with things like Deadeye or Lethality, and there's no cap as well, so the higher his defense is going to be, the more he's going to deal bonus damage, and the more he's going to reduce damage taken. So this is really good. The speed, defense, and res up 5 is nice as well. He inflicts defense -5 on the enemy. Overall, I'm liking what I'm seeing here, but I'm not entirely sold that this is enough to make him as insane as he's going to need to be. He's certainly good, though. He also has 40% defense-based DR from Blue Lion rules, so you got to factor that in as well with his new effect here, where he's basically doing the same thing as Asker. So he's definitely going to be good. Alright, then we have Claude up next. I believe Claude actually has 2 pages worth, so quite a lot to digest with Claude. Alright, so he has -1 special trigger, effective against flying. If unit initiates combat, or if unit is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants all stats of 5 during combat. And also, if unit deals damage to foe using a special, recovers half of unit's maximum HP. triggers even if 0 damage is dealt, and reduces the effect of deep wounds by 60%. Oh, that's brand new. So, this guy is basically a sustain king, and now they've given him a way to get around the one counter to sustain, which was deep wounds. That's pretty interesting there. So, like, I don't think anyone else has this besides him at the moment, where you can just bypass deep wounds and still get some recovery out of your healing effect. So that's pretty cool. Okay, also at the start of combat, if unit's HP is over 25%, grants all stats up 5 to unit during combat, neutralizes effects that prevent units' follow-up attacks, and effects that inflict special cooldown charge -X on unit. And also, if bonus is active on unit, reduces damage from foe's first attack by 30%. Interesting. So he's basically at all stats up 10. He has half a null follow-up, he has nullify guard, and then he has 30% DR on the enemy's first attack. That's pretty good because it's going to help him activate his special a lot easier. I would have liked it if they made his DR a little bit higher. Like 50% I think would have been fair. Because it's not like they gave him Fallen Star to have the disgusting 80%. So I think 50% would have been fair. Like 30% might be a little bit low. He is at all stats up 10 though. So yeah, and then he can still recover through deep wounds. So that's pretty interesting. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at Lysithea up next. Alright, so effective against cavalry. Grants speed up 3. At the start of combat, if foe's HP is over 75%, grants attack and speed up 6 to unit during combat. Also, if unit's HP is not full and unit initiates combat, unit makes a guaranteed follow-up attack before the foe can counterattack. So all of this stuff is exactly the same. Oh, wow, this is the first time I think they've done this, where they've added accelerate special trigger as part of the refine effect. That's very different. Okay, so that's really good. Obviously, -1 special trigger is good on every unit that can get it. So it's nice to see it there. At the start of turn, grants the following status to unit for 1 turn and deals 1 damage to unit. Unit can move to a space adjacent to any ally within 2 spaces. What? So she just gets Wings of Mercy? Also, if unit initiates combat or is in 2 spaces of an ally, grants attack and speed up 6 to unit during combat and special cooldown charge +1 per unit's attack. Okay, this is actually what I was expecting out of her. I thought she was going to end up being a crazy wild card, and that's what it looks like. She deals herself 1 damage. Now, it would have been nice if she did that to the whole team so that you could pull off your degenerate tactics with, what's the thing people do with Winter Bernadetta? They use reciprocal aid, and then they get low on health, so they can start popping, like, Wings of Mercy antics and just run and gun, basically 1 turn kill the enemy team. It's only doing the 1 chip damage to her, but I guess that's fair enough, because it's going to instantly trigger her not being on full HP condition there. And then being able to just Wings of Mercy to any ally in 2 spaces, or not Wings of Mercy, she can move to a space adjacent to any ally within 2 spaces. So it's the Ash jump effect, where if you have an ally in 2 spaces, you can jump 2 spaces ahead of them. So that's pretty cool. And then if she initiates, she's just gaining more attack and speed, and then she's gaining a ramp effect. So yeah, this seems pretty solid. Out of all the Choose Your Legends refines, which one do I like the most? I'll admit they're all not as insane as they could have been. Like, I'm not feeling like there's a Brave Hector or Brave Ike situation here where one of these is just, like, completely meta-defining. But I will say that they all gained some substantial buffs here. Particularly Edelgard and Dimitri, I would say they seem to have the most to gain here. Claude and Lysithea gained, like, all of these wild card effects, which I think are pretty good. Definitely going to help her out. The -1 special trigger was also really clutch for her to get. And then with Claude, he's able to nullify deep wounds by 60%, and then he has some DR, so it's easier for him to activate his special. It's basically at all stats up 10, and then he nullifies guard as well, so there's really nothing you can do to stop him from just getting a special off. So, yeah, they're all pretty good and pretty solid. Let's continue on, though. Let's see what the remixes end up getting. Okay, so Julia's got effective against dragons, attack up 3. At the start of combat, if unit's HP is great, or if unit's attack is greater than foe's attack, or foe's HP is over 75%, gains attack and res up 6 to unit during combat. And also, if unit's res is better than the foe's res, reduces damage from attacks during combat and AoE specials by a difference between stats with a max of 40%. Okay, so that's pretty good. Her needing more attack than the enemy was kind of lame, because her attack is pretty good, but, like, it's not always going to be the case where you're able to get that. So having a second option for the check is very good. Enemies over 75% HP, that's going to be way more common. And then they gave her res-based damage reduction, so that's also really good for her. Also, if unit is in 3 spaces of an ally, grants all stats of 4 to unit during combat, and unit makes a guaranteed follow-up attack. And also, if in combat against a dragon foe, unit can counterattack regardless of foe's range. Oh, dude, that's rad. So they gave her, what is this, like Close Ward, I guess, where she can counterattack dragon enemies? She's getting all stats of 4, she has the res-based damage reduction, and then Light and Dark 2 gives her basically Mega Lull, where she does all stats minus 5 to the enemy, nullifies her own penalties and nullifies their bonuses, and blocks adaptive damage. So this is a really good refine for her, actually. So far, this might be my favorite one out of all the ones we've looked at. Because, like, dragons are definitely on the rise again. They've been making a comeback big time, so being able to counterattack dragon enemies with a range unit that also blocks their adaptive damage, I think this is going to be a really good effect for her. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to Haar up next. Well, should we do Haar first, or should we do Sothis? I guess we'll do Sothis, because she's the other remix. And forgive me for this being filmed with a potato, but I'm going to do my best here. So, neutralizes effective against dragons. Unit can counterattack regardless of foe's range. If foe's range is 2, gets adaptive damage. At the start of combat, if unit's HP is over 25%, grants all stats of 4 to unit during combat. And reduces damage from foe's first attack by 40%. Okay, so they gave her 40% damage reduction, all stats of 4. And that's basically it, right? Yeah, that's really sad compared to all the stuff that they gave to Julia. Like, I already thought Light and Dark 2 got a way better upgrade than Sirius did. And now we look at the weapons. There's just no comparison here. Julia's shitting all over this Sothis, unfortunately. Yeah, that's it, man. Just 40% DR. And it's not on all hits. It's only on the foe's first attack. They could have at least gave that to her throughout the entire round of combat, I think. Yeah, that's a big rip, man. Poor Sothis. She kind of got, like, the short end of the stick on this one. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to Haar up next. Now, Haar is the only free-to-play character out of this batch, so hopefully they decided to give him the goods. So, Tempest Claw, 10 might, 1 range, HP up 3. Neutralizes effective against flying. That's pretty cool. Blue tomes are effective against unit. Wait, what? Blue tomes are effective against unit? What? Inflicts speed minus 5, unit attacks twice. So he has a brave attack. I don't know why why would they make blue tomes effective against him? That's so weird. Okay, if unit initiates combat or is in 2 spaces of an ally, grants attack and defense up 5 to unit during combat, reduces damage from foes' attacks by 15% of unit's defense, excluding AoE specials, and inflicts special cooldown charge -1 on the foe per attack. So he inflicts guard. He reduces damage by 15% of his defense. So let's say his defense here is 36. He's probably going to be higher if you got merges and passives going on. Let's just do a quick check here. So 15% of 36. What would that be? 5 points of damage reduction. That's not really that great, man. Unless I did that calculation wrong. They couldn't just give him like 15% damage reduction, period. Well, I guess this counts as true damage reduction, doesn't it? Yeah, it's not like a percent-based damage reduction. It's just true damage reduction like we saw on Asker and also the new refine for Dimitri. So, yeah, actually, you just cut off 5 points of true damage. You're free to give him also Flow Flight, I think it's called. The one from the Spring Maria, where you do another, like, 7-point damage reduction and 7-point bonus damage. And then you get half a null follow-up when you initiate. Yeah, this is actually pretty good. This is not bad. For a brave weapon, I think this is pretty solid. He also nullifies effective against flying, which is going to be pretty good. So he's going to be able to make good use of his defense. His attack isn't really where it needs to be, though, for a brave weapon. It's good. I shouldn't be too hard on him because he is free to play. Blue tomes are effective against unit, though. That's so weird. Why? Like, I don't really understand the implications there, because in Radiant Dawn, that... Well, I guess Thunder Magic in Radiant Dawn was effective against Wyverns, as well as Dragon-type units, so maybe they're trying to do that. Like, they're trying to say, like, Thunder Magic is going to have super effective damage on him. I don't really see why they needed to implement that in this game, though, so... Yeah, I guess there you guys go. Especially considering most of the blue tomes are using light magic as opposed to thunder magic. So that just seems really awkward, but I guess it is what it is. So let me know in the comments, which one of these refines do you think was the winner? I think Julia... As far as, like, cohesiveness, I think Julia got the best stuff with Light and Dark 2 and then this weapon refine here. Definitely seems to make the most sense. Edelgard just turned into more of a stat ball. She was already good. She's just going to be doing more of the same, except better now. And then Dimitri actually seems like he could be viable now with the Asker damage reduction and damage bonus effect. So that's going to wrap us up for the refines. Stick around because we are going to be covering the rest of the data mines in just a sec. So this is your boy Tacho signing out, and I'll catch y'all again in just a second.